Hello, everybody. This is Chris. I just want to thank everybody for showing up for the art show for the fourth episode of Auctions with our guest Bill Stoner and our special guest for on the panel besides him for today is Chad Pagels, Golden Finger, filling in for Cool Toes who did not show up for some reason tonight, and Miss Cool Defiance.
He's probably taking a me day today.
But
probably fishing.
You should go fishing. That's what Kristen said. So, but today's topic is going to be about auctions. I do have a bunch of questions for Bill, but I'd like him to introduce himself and do all that before we get into the questions.
I'm trying to.
Sorry.
What's up, Bill Stoner?
Hey, Chad.
Dude, you freaking nailed it last night at the auction.
Oh, I got a typewriter that I forgot to put on that too. Wow. I got a nice Remington typewriter with a case for $3.
Cool. What's your problem, Chris?
I called one of your stunts.
What'd you do?
It's not pausing. It keeps playing. In the background, playing.
Oh, that's okay.
I do that every time.
I've done that before too.
The reason I do it every time is I'll open the other window in YouTube so I can see the comments, but I always have Google open, and for some reason, whenever I go do a live from my computer, it always pops up on Google. So if I have that Google window open, it always starts streaming automatically in there.
Yeah.
I have the Hangout, and then I have the YouTube channel, and then I have Facebook up. So. But,
well, you look rested, Bill. What is up with that?
I just got a shower.
I'm about to fall over, man. Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired too. Yeah, auction Friday night. I was up till 4 a.m. and then got home. I got home from the auction around midnight, and then I was up till about 4 a.m. and then I finally got to bed, and then I slept till noon on Saturday, and I was up till I don't know 2 or 3 o'clock this morning. But I had to get up at 9, so I get at 8:30 or 9 o'clock to get to church this morning. So did get a lot of sleep last night.
Let us know when you're ready, Chris. We're just making.
I thought Bill do an introduction about himself and everything else before I went into the questions. So if you want to introduce yourself to everybody that may not know.
Yeah, probably everybody already knows me. I'm Bill Stoner. I have Bill and Andy's Needful Things on Facebook, and I sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Bonanza. I have an antique booth. I scrap. I do auctions. I do Craigslist. Pretty much, if there's a way to sell, I'm on it.
Okay. Well, I have a bunch of questions, as Bill knows, because he asked for them ahead of time. So, I know, Chad, you don't know some of these questions, so hopefully they'll be in line with what you wanted to ask him last week. So I'm going to start with, the first one we have is, how did you get into reselling and picking?
Well, when I was a little kid, my mom used to take me garage sales with her in the summertime. I was probably, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. Actually, it probably started long before that because we went to some before we moved to where we live now, or where they live now. But I'd find stuff that was neat and I'd buy it, and then I'd sell it to kids at school. When I was in, I think it was 4th grade, I'd buy candy and sell it to kids at school. I guess you can't do that anymore, though.
That's like me, man.
Yeah, I'd go. My grandma would take me to the store. I'd buy like packs of like a whole pack of Lifesavers or candy bars or something, and then sell them to the kids at school because they pay 50 cents a dollar for one.
Candy was a hot commodity, man. I don't know what it is nowadays, but when we were growing up, yeah.
And then my dad took me to a surplus place that was a friend of his, and at the time, I think it was, I don't know, it must have been about mid-'80s or so, and they had these, the kids were all sticking these little safety pins with beads on them on their shoes. Some of the older people probably remember those. And so anyways, the guy had a whole pile, he had like bins of beads at this place. And I told him I wanted some of them, and he wanted to know why I wanted them. So I told him about the kids at school and stuff. And I don't remember if he gave me a lot of them. I think he might have gave them all to me. Maybe he sold some of these. There were some butterfly-shaped ones and stuff. And other kids at school just had these plain beads on theirs. And so I was making these at home, and then I'd take them to school and sell them, and I was selling them for a quarter a piece. And I couldn't make them fast enough. I sold hundreds of those things. Everybody just about at school was wearing those on their shoes. And they'd buy a bunch of them because they'd line their whole shoe with all the way down the laces with them.
So neat.
That's definitely inventive. Okay, well, you basically answered the second question within that one when I said the question was how old were you when you started picking? So you
Yeah, I'd say probably 8 or 9.
And then I also answered the other one, which was the first time have you ever sold, which is about the same age.
Yeah, same age.
Okay, then what is your favorite type
Don't
of
go
item?
into it or nothing there, Bill. Don't go into it or nothing. Just simply.
I wipe all the questions with one answer.
This show is now a permanent part of the Crash and Burn Network. Just thought I'd let you know.
What's your next question, Chris?
The next one was, what was your favorite type of item to sell?
My favorite type of item to sell? Gosh, I don't know, because I sell everything. I like antiques. I like things that are well. I collect and sell bottles too. I don't collect them too much anymore, but I used to dig bottles and I have quite a few of them still. But bottles I liked for a while. I was into Oriental stuff for a while. Bought a lot of that. I used to have a big display case in my dining room, and I would start collecting something, and I would keep collecting it until that case was full, and then I'd sell that all off and start collecting something else. So there's been a lot of different things that has been my favorite over the years. I like I guess I'd have to say my favorite thing is whatever makes me the most profit. Because there's a few things I always like to find, just because you can turn them around quick and you don't have any problems with them.
Okay.
Bill's a smart man.
Well, you gotta be smart to be in this business sometimes.
Hi, Kristen.
Hey.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still alive over here.
I was laying on the couch, man, just chilling, doing nothing, and I'm like, what?
But we just
I
having a
need it back.
I'm trying to come up with some questions for Bill.
As I said, some of these questions you might already have in your head that we already had. So.
Well, you just keep asking.
Well, my next one was why auction?
What?
Why did you get into auctions?
Well, back when I first started doing this, that's all there was. I mean, there wasn't an internet at all. I mean, there was no such thing as the internet. I think the only thing they had back then was the ARPANET, which was mostly between colleges and the military, and that was all dial-up and stuff. But you couldn't even buy computers back then. back in the early mid '80s, and auctions were auctions like one of the oldest forms of buying and selling there is. There's always been auctions around of one sort or another, and I just like them. I mean, it's exciting. You can intimidate people and get away with it, and I guess for the excitement of it, that's why auctions, and it's a good way to make profit. I mean, a lot of the auction people are really good people. That once you get to know them, and at first, if you don't know the auction people, a lot of times, a lot of auction people, auctioneers and stuff, is kind of like a carnival. It's like that type of the auction family is kind of like that type of like a carnival family. They stick together. They have their own secrets, and they're out there to fleece the rubes. So.
Oh yeah, if you're brand new to an auction house, man, you will get so lost. You'll be like, "What? What just happened? What just happened?"
Well, a good auctioneer knows how to get you to keep bidding. He might play on your ego. He might get a couple people that are going to fight against each other for something and keep edging them on. They might be like, oh, you gotta let him get away with that. When somebody gets outbid, the auctioneer might say the other bidder, oh, you gotta let him get away with that on you, or they'll be like, oh, come on, one more dollar or something, and then they'll bid $1, then the other person bids another $1, and then you got a couple more bucks.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what'll make or break an auction house is the auctioneer and the way he runs it. I mean, I've been to some auction houses. It's like it's just pathetic, but there's some that's like it's just crazy.
The thing is that some people, they don't like auctions because the auctioneers go so fast they can't keep up with them. They don't understand what they're saying. They can't follow the bid, and they either might end up bidding and overpaying on something. They might end up bidding on the wrong item. There's a lot of different things. The auction house I work at, both the auctioneers go really slow, and it's really easy for the people to follow along. They don't throw a lot of the mumbo jumbo in that a lot of auctioneers do.
Yeah.
They just start to bid and they bid, and then my job at the auction house is I stand up front next to the auctioneer and I put all the items up. We have a camera set up there with a TV behind me, so that anybody in the back can see what's up up front, because there's just rows of seats go straight out from where I stand, and then so when I put something up in front of the camera, that it goes up on a TV, and then everybody clear to the back can see what it is. Now, if it's a big item, I just hold it up, and we move around the auction house. We sell all the smalls up front. Then we split up, and the one auctioneer goes to the back and starts selling the furniture and appliances, the big appliances, and then I stay up front and continue on selling the small stuff. And then we'll get people that come every single time, and buy furniture or whatever. Some of them are furniture dealers. They have their own stores, and a lot of people, I hear people complaining about there being dealers at the auction. And really, the dealers are the least person that somebody buying something for themselves has to worry about. If you're there because you want a bedroom set or because you want a dresser or something, don't worry about the furniture dealer, because he's not going to outbid you, because he's got overhead. He's got to make a profit on it. He's got to pay people to move the stuff. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on besides just buying that item and being done. Because if you're buying it, you're going to buy it, you're going to go put it in your house, and you're done. And you might pay $30-40 for a dresser, and you go to his shop, and that same dresser is going to be like $150, because he's got markup, and he's got a location that people are coming to buy that item. So yeah, if you're at an auction and you see dealers, don't worry about them, because their overhead is going to keep them from outbidding you if you're buying something for yourself. Now, if you're buying it because you want to resell it, depending on how much inventory they have already in their store, and depending on how how much you know about the item. You know, if it's something antique, there's a few dealers that go to the auction that know what the antiques are worth, but there's other ones they won't touch the antiques because they don't want that. The people coming to their shops aren't coming to an antique store. They're going to a furniture store and they want to buy, you know, modern furniture that they're going to put in their house and use. So yeah, there's a lot of difference, you know, a lot of things between the dealers and the people buying it for themselves that, you know, you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
Any comments in the feed that we can get to before I can just blast out another question?
Do what about it?
I was asking if there was any comments in the feed.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
I'm looking right now.
I don't have the comment thing open, so I can't see them.
Arbitrage.
Oh, there's.
Cross. How much stuff is actually behind you? Is
Everything.
Is it
Well, actually,
listed or is it?
Everything's in here, but you can only see a small portion of it from here.
Is that stuff
But it's
listed
all in
or to be listed?
This is actually like the wardrobe from Narnia. You can just keep putting stuff in; it never goes out.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Blake Garcia, Blue Skies, Bits and Baubles. Hey, yeah, Lori. Albatross, what's up? Brian, New York Hustle. Hey, buddy. Jeff Davidson, naked, I'm sure again. Paper Ball, experimental vaccines. Gandalf, Jacoby. I've seen him around. I don't know how to say his last name. No.
Yeah, Cobby, I think it's something like that.
Yeah. What's up, folks? I'm just filling in for Cool Toad if you're just getting here. Flippin' Vegas is here. We got an APB out on Cool Toads right now. Nobody knows where he's at.
Talk to him or heard from him?
I haven't talked to him.
The last thing you told me was he was going fishing.
Well, I hope nothing happened.
Better drag the lake.
Mm.
Maybe they were just biting so good he didn't want to come in.
Maybe. I think I'll just go bowling real quick and see if everything's okay.
Yeah, because it's not like.
My next question is, what are the different types of auctions that you go to or somebody can be aware of to get product?
Okay, you have of course storage auctions. You have auction houses where you go and now storage auction. I'll just explain real quick what each one is. Storage auction, most people know already, is an auction where you go on site to a storage facility. They cut the lock. They pull up the door and you buy what you see. All right. The second type would be an auction house. That's where either people will consign stuff to the place to be sold, which is called a consignment auction, or they may be an auction house that has a contract with a place like say Fingerhut or Walmart or someplace where they get pallets shipped to them of merchandise, and you would buy them that way. Okay, then you have estate sales or estate auctions where the auctioneer will auction stuff. Usually, if it's an estate auction, they'll auction the stuff on site, and a lot of times they also will auction off the property either the same day or on a different day. Usually, they do the personal property items, and then they'll auction off the house, or like I said, they'll do it on different days. Let me think. What else kind of they have? You have wholesale auctions where you go to like a warehouse, and they'll have pallets of return merchandise and things like that. They also do those online, which is the next type of auction, would be online auction. And you can go through a place like Proxy Bid, which is the one I use most often, and I'll buy stuff online, and then it's usually I like to stay within 100 miles of my house for the online auctions, because otherwise it just gets too much work and too much time to go pick stuff up. So I've got three trailers, three different size trailers that I use. I have a 24-foot flatbed. I've got a 7-foot by 12-foot with a drop gate. So, depending on what I'm going to pick up, depends on which trailer I take. Normally, I just take my 7 by 12 if I have a lot of stuff to pick up, like if I've bought like couches and a lot of furniture or something. Most of the time, though, I don't buy the furniture because being just by myself, it's too much work to go and haul the stuff out of the house. Because what you'll do is you bid on the stuff on an online auction, you'll go to the actual address the stuff is at, it's like somebody's house, and you go in and you pick the stuff up and carry it out. Let me think. Any other type of auctions? Yeah, farm auctions, but that's kind of like the on-site real estate auction, where you go and actually no, there's a couple different ones, because there's the property auction where they might have you go to like a hall somewhere, like a reception hall somewhere, that'll be able to support a lot of people coming, and they'll sell several properties in different locations off from that location. Usually they have days where you can go and inspect the property, and just like a consignment auction has a day or time where you can go and inspect the items before the sale. Then there's the what was the other one? The other one's a tax auction, where you go downtown and you'll put in bids. Sometimes it's a sealed bid, and sometimes you'll go to one of the courtrooms or whatever, and they'll have bidding on the properties that have been come up for taxes. And there's different legalities you have to go through with buying tax foreclosed properties also. And then there's one more kind can't think of. Oh, you have auto auction, where you'll go to. We have I think there's just one here in town now, but they'll have a whole bunch of cars. Most of them are ones dealers send in, and I worked for them before, where I'd drive, would go pick up cars at some location and drive them all back, and then I also worked on location where I drove the vehicles actually through the auction up on the. They have like a big building, and you drive in up a ramp, and you park in front of the auctioneer, and the auctioneer auctions off the vehicle, and then you drive it off. They give you a number to put on it, and then you drive it off and park it somewhere. So that's basically the main type of auctions that I go to around here.
Okay. My next question was, what is the biggest difference between bidding online versus live for something for reselling?
It depends, because there's different types of online auctions. You can have an online auction where it's strictly online. It has a set time limit, and once the time runs out, like on proxy bid, a lot of times if somebody puts a bid in the last minute, then it'll extend the bidding time on that item. So if somebody keeps bidding on it, that one item could go on for hours. Just depends on how bad they want it and how big they're willing to go for it. I've seen some go a half hour past the auction end of the auction. Most of the items will end at a certain time, though, if there's no further bids on them at the last minute. And so they'll set up a time. You might have 12 days to bid on these items. So there was just one that I bid on. It was City of Auburn. They had all the lost and found bicycles. They had some ATVs. I don't know if I think those had been seized by the police, and so they auctioned off all that stuff. So that was a timed auction. It went for 12 days. At the end of the 12 days, they'll send you a email reminder that the auction's going to end, and then you can get in there, put in any file bids you want, and then after it ends, they send you an invoice, and they'll debit your whatever credit card or whatever you have set up for online payment. The other type of online auction you have eBay, of course, which are timed, auctions where they have the buy it nows on them. But then they have the online auctions where you can have people bidding on stuff on the internet and live at the auction house at the same time. And I don't like those as well, because you're not seeing the bids. I mean, of course, they could be logged into a computer. They're putting bids in on something, just to run you up. But you never know if who's there at the auction house. if they're actually, someone they're bidding, or if, they're thinking, oh, I just want this to go for more. Now, actually, on the one auction I bid on, that's just a timed auction, they have, if you read the disclosure statement, it actually says in there that the auction staff, or one of the people or family members or whoever's selling this stuff, may place bids, even if it's just to raise the amount of the item. And I contacted Proxy Bid about that, and I said, this is illegal. And they're like, well, we allow it. But that's called shill bidding, and if an auctioneer at an auction house got caught doing that, he'd lose his license.
Oh yeah, you'd probably lose a lot more than that too. Some of our locals at our old auction houses, but if we caught some, oh my God, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I've been at a couple of auctions where my brother and I was at an auction one time, and I don't want to say the name of the auction company, but we were sitting there, and I told him beforehand to be careful of the ghost bidding against him. And so he's bidding on this thing, and the auctioneer takes a bid behind him. And I turn around and look, and there's nobody there bidding. It's like these people back behind us are they're just talking to themselves, So I thought, well, maybe it's, somebody just put their hand up and looked back down. So I sat there and watched, and my brother bid again, and the guy got another bid from back there. And there was nobody back there looking up. So I leaned over to my brother. I said, "Let him have it." I said, "You're bidding against a ghost bidder." I said, "There's nobody back there bidding," so he quit bidding on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's just a kind of a trick of the trade of some of these auctioneers. I mean, if they're really good, you'll never even know it, but they do it.
We have people accuse us of doing that at the auction. They'll be like, somebody will bid on something, and that's one of my jobs is calling the bids.
Yep.
So if I see somebody, they might just flip their card a little bit, or nod, or wink, or something, bidding, and I'll take their bid, and then the other person's like looking over there, and they don't see this person doing this, so they think that we're just running them up or something, and then they'll be like, who am I? They'll stop right there in the middle of the auction and go like, well, who's bidding against me? And the auctioneer's like, the other person bidding's the one bidding against you. Now you gonna bid or not?
It would get to the point because I mean, Picker, Paul, and myself, we'd go to auctions all the time, and some of these auctioneers or the ring people who would call the bids out. I mean, you're talking just just a really small movement, and
yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people at the auction. I mean, you can somebody didn't know could stare right at them and not even know they're bidding.
Yeah. But what Picker, Paul, and I would do if we go into a new place, we want to try to dominate. I mean, they see us making our bids, and it gets everybody all flustered, and they can't do things right, and we end up walking out with everything.
Oh yeah. I'm like Dave Hester at an auction. If there's something I want to buy, and they'll call, start to bid, go give me $2. And if it's something I know is worth a lot of money that I'm going to make a really good profit on, I'll drop a big bid on them. I'll be like $10, and then somebody else might bid, and I'll get loud. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Usually, that's why I said at the beginning, that's what you want to do. If you're a bidder at an auction, you want to intimidate the other bidders. You don't want them bidding against you. You want them to think you have, as much cash in your pocket as you need to buy whatever you want. But if you're at a storage unit auction, and I hear you talking about the big wad of cash in your pocket, I'm gonna make sure you spend the whole thing.
That actually answered one of my questions from later, which was what tricks have you used in the past to outbid a potential rival on an item that you really wanted?
Well, that's one of the things I'll do. I'll jump the bid on them. I'll jump the bid up. Say there's a unit. I've done this. I do this all the time. They'll open the door on the unit, and everybody there is waiting for the auctioneer to get as low as they can, and just waste my time waiting for them to get down to $10 or $20 before they'll bid. So a lot of times I'll walk up to the auctioneer as soon as the doors open. When everybody, I'm usually one of the first ones to walk by there, or I'll wait until I'm the last person to walk by, so I get whoever's toward the end of the line can walk the slowest, because everybody else is trying to push you out of the way. But I'm tall, so I can usually see over everybody's head anyway. So
Yep.
I'll walk up to the auctioneer before he even starts the bid, and I'll give him a bid. So when he starts he'll start bidding. He'll be like, okay, I got a $100 opening bid, or I got a $200 opening bid. Who give me $225, and I'll be sitting there, and maybe somebody will bid, maybe somebody won't. If they don't, then I got it for what price I was willing to pay for it. And if I give the auctioneer a $100 opening bid, I'll probably be willing to go 200 or more. I mean, I'm not going to give him my top bid, starting off, but I'm going to give him a bid that's not going to hurt me, And when they open that door up, I only bid on what I see that I can make profit on. I don't bid on boxes that are stacked up back there with probably nothing in them or trash in them. So if I see $500 worth of stuff in there, then I'm going to bid $100 or better.
Right, and oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the big things that we found is Paul and myself, we went to this one auction. It was way out. It was far, and there were some Edison cylinders there. So I think Paul ended up buying that lot, because a lot of times, if you're there with like a partner or something, we won't bid against each other. We'll say, okay, I'm really interested in it. I want that item, and we'll do that for each other. Well, outside where they line up all the like the gardening tools and all this stuff, I walked out there and I saw a very rare Edison cylinder horn crane. It wasn't just the pieces that you put together. It was actually an adjustable one, and I mean,
wow.
it was rare, and it was sitting out there with all the junk. And this is
that's because a lot of people that set those auctions up don't know what the stuff is.
Have no clue. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, Paul, check this out. Oh shit, oh shit. But what screwed up is there was one other person. One. And that's all it takes. One other person to know what that was. And you were talking about jumping to bids. I mean, they started it out, and I like $10, and then they took 11 or some shit, and I'd go 50, and then 100. I mean, it was a minimum $300, and that was stuff I would restore. So I mean, I could even get more than that. I'm telling Paul, I said, that's a minimum $300, dude. He's like, no shit, but I think I got it for 120 or something.
If somebody sees you starting to jump a bid now, some of them people are going to think, oh, well, that must be worth something, and they might start bidding against you on it. So every once in a while, do that on some junk.
Yeah, they had no freaking clue, except that one person. Remember that, Paul? Yeah, he's in the comments. I got it, though. Yeah, that was awesome. I made some good money on that.
Okay, that goes right into one of my other questions that we have here, which is, how do you determine what is a good locker?
Well, I've been buying lockers since mid '80s, I think, mid to late '80s, somewhere around there, way before the internet and the shows screwed everything up. And it used to be, when I go storage auction, there might, if I was lucky, somebody else would show up for me to bid against, because a lot of times, there was nobody knew about storage auctions. They'd run a small ad in the paper, and they might only have an auction once every couple of months and sell off 10 or 15. Hell, I couldn't even buy all the lockers, because no matter, you could pay $10 a piece for them, and there was just too much to clean out. You'd only be able to. I mean, realistically, you could buy 3 lockers and spend the next day or two cleaning them out. If you would have bought all of them, all 10 lockers, then you put the stuff. You don't have there wasn't a lot of places to get rid of it. A lot of the stuff I took to auction, I mean, that was about the only way to get rid of it. You could run ads, in the paper. There was like peddlers post and things like that back then. That was like the peddlers post was like the Craigslist is today. You put run ads in this paper. It would come out on I think it was every Thursday it came out, and that's what people they'd buy that paper, and then they'd find your ad and call you, and that's how you'd sell it, or have a garage sale or a yard sale. I mean, there wasn't as many avenues back then to get rid of this stuff. But I'll look at what I can see, and if you're lucky enough to get to know something about the storage unit beforehand, it's really important to make friends with the people that run the facilities, because you can go there early to the storage auction, and chat the management up. They'll say how long this person's had this unit, or whatever, and how good the person paid, how long they've been paying, and stuff like that. You get a lot of information out of them, and it's nice to have friends like that anyway. And I'm friends with a couple of the managers around here, and sometimes they'll have units that aren't worth selling. They just have scrap or something in it, and they'll just give me a call. Hey, you want to come clean this unit out for us? It's just got some junk in it, and I'll go down there, and even if it's stuff that I don't want or can't take or can't use, I'll still empty the whole unit out and sweep it out for them. So when I leave, I tell them, well, so and so's ready to rent. It's all swept out, and they're just happy as hell because they didn't have to touch it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do nothing.
Or if you do,
that's how I got to
the
other day.
You get in good with them.
He just wanted to
phone call from Daryl. Huh? Jack.
What's that?
Oh, I don't know. Are you awake, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm awake.
Okay.
I think she's going to wait for me to do my next question or ask for if there's any comments to be read.
Well, if you start seeing Z's come out of my head, then you know I fell asleep.
Okay, one of my other questions that we had was, what's the furthest you've driven for an auction?
Well, I bought out a small engine repair. I don't know if I call it a company. I don't know. It was a small engine repair shop. I bought it out. It was in Upper Michigan, and I had to take my 24-foot trailer up there to pick that up. It rained like hell on the way back. We got this stuff loaded in, and it was all I could do to packing the stuff in the. I had a 94 Ford Explorer then, and I had just put new U-joints in it on the drive shaft, and I got my 24-foot trailer hooked up to it. We drove all the way up to Upper Michigan, and got all this stuff loaded up, and drove. As we was driving back, it was just pouring rain so hard you couldn't even hardly see out the windshield. And by the time I got back, I had to replace the brakes on my truck because I burned them out.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's probably the farthest I've gone physically to pick something up. I mean, I've bought stuff at auction that it's been far enough away I've had it shipped to me.
So that's a big key. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I'm at, dude. From Fort Wayne to Upper Michigan. I mean, it was a few hours drive. Now I also bought a boat. It was about 2 hours from here. I went and picked that up. That was at an online auction.
Okay. And what about you, Chad, since you are giving some stories here?
I'm just trying to. Oh, as far as getting in good with the managers and stuff like that, I'd get a phone call from Paul saying, "Hey, sometimes these people they don't even want to take the time to run an auction. There's a full unit. They'll pull everything out, and then they'll call a certain amount of people and come, and they do it kind of like in a thing. It's like if you want it, you pay. I don't even remember how much. I mean, it's just the last one we did was." There was a bunch of Indian stuff, a bunch of books, and I mean just all kind. And I'm like, I don't know enough about it. I'm gonna pass on it. And then there was this one. It's like and there was a big ass I think it was like a big Bronco, and there was a ton of box parts. We couldn't go in and look, but it wasn't an auction. It was just, we want 5,000 for all this, you know. I guess they're way behind, because I mean it was a huge, like a 3-bay room, and he's like, "Come on, man, let's do it. Let's split." I'm like, "Man, I don't know. That's a big risk for me." But I don't know if he got it or not. He may have, but the parts in there were just, we could see they were brand new, aftermarket, high quality stuff. I mean, we probably double or triple our money, but that was a lot for me to bite on. But yeah, you get in good, you'll get those behind the scene phone calls. If they don't want to run an auction and they know there's, you know, resellers and stuff out there that'll pay, then yeah, they'll make it worth your while. I don't know if that's legal, but
there's a couple of places. There's one up in Kendallville, and there's the one that the storage place my one friend runs. He does not want people on his property unless they're renting a unit. So he doesn't want to do auction. I mean, we could do the auction there on site for him, but he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want the people on his property.
Yeah.
So what we do is we go in and pick up the stuff. We used to have most of the storage facilities in Fort Wayne, this whole area, all the way up to Kendallville. We'd go in with the truck, and this is working with the auctioneer. We'd go and we'd take everything out of the storage unit, trash and everything, take it, dump it, and take the rest of it to the auction house and sell it, and then mail them a check. And we clean the unit out, just like you're supposed to after a storage auction. You take everything out of it, sweep it out. Now, some of the storage places, you could just go in and they just want to take out what was sellable, and then they'd have somebody else toss the rest of it, or they'd do it themselves, toss the rest of it. But yeah, we used to a couple hundred storage units a year, just one after another. Sometimes we'd have 7 or 8 of them in a row we had to do. But when they started doing on-site auctions, then that kind of ruined that for us.
Yeah.
Well, another thing we were going to ask was about, can you tell us about deposits and how long someone has to clean out a unit?
Sure. It depends on the facility, what their guidelines are. Some places want most of the facilities want the unit cleaned out within 24 hours. Some of them will make you leave a $100 deposit. Some of them will make you leave a $25 deposit. Now, the 2 places here I usually go for storage auctions, they don't require me to make a deposit because they know me. And if I was to buy 3 units, they'd give me a couple of days to get them cleaned down.
I've got a question for you, Bill. And this is not so much storage auction, but your little auction house with consigned items and stuff like that. What would you say is the biggest I mean, I have a couple things in my mind, but what would you say is one of the biggest mistakes a new person going to an auction house would make when it comes to bidding on items?
That's one of your questions too, isn't it, Chris?
Yep. I was gonna say it was more like, would you recommend a new seller that has never been to an auction to bid at the same first time one that they go to type of thing?
Okay, so I guess it's a little different question. Okay, I guess this will cover both of those questions. The one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they go to an auction. Well, let's do 2 different kinds, because the storage unit auctions are different mistakes you can make that going to. I mean, there's still some of the same mistakes, but there's different mistakes you can make going to an auction house as there is going to a storage unit auction. First of all, if you're going to go to auction, if you're just starting out, only take the amount of cash in your pocket that you're planning on spending. Don't get into the position where you're pulling out a credit card or your checkbook, because if you have items in mind, always go, if you're new too, go and check out the stuff before the auction starts. Look everything over really good. Make sure that all the pieces are there. Make sure the items aren't broke, especially with glassware and things like that. Make sure that Like if there's costume jewelry that you're buying, look it all over, make sure you know what kind it is, whether they're signed pieces, because other people are going to do that. People that go to the auction a lot, they're going to know what stuff is, and they're going to either run you up on it, or they're going to buy it out from under you for maybe a lot less than what it's worth. Don't get caught in, if either auction you go to, don't get caught in a bidding war. Don't just don't let your ego play into it. And a lot of people I hear they go to auction, storage auctions, and they'll just they see a 10 by 20 unit and they just go nuts. I've seen them go for $3,000 or more, and it's like the guy's bidding on stuff he can't see, and you can't do that. You go to an auction, if you go to storage auction, unless you know what's in there ahead of time. If they open it up and it's it's nice and tidy and orderly and everything, and the people look like they took care of their stuff, you might go a little higher on stuff you can't see, because chances are there's something good in there. But if they open a door and it looks like somebody backed a dump truck up to the unit, chances are everything in there is going to be trash. It's going to be broken. It's going to be dirty. It's not going to be worth your time of even cleaning the unit out. So that's the biggest thing, and one of the biggest things I can tell you is don't ever talk about how much money you have to spend at either auction, especially not a storage unit auction, because there's guys I go to these auctions and they'll be bragging about how I've got $900 in my pocket. I'm getting a unit. Well, yeah, you're going to get
$900.
You're going to spend that $900, and it's not going to be on a unit I want either.
Yep.
Because I know once they're out of money, if I know how much money they got, and I can run them out of money before they get to a unit I want, I'll run them up.
Yep.
And if they're new, they're not going to end up, they're not going to drop the unit on me because they're not going to know when to stop.
Yeah.
That's like me. I went to one auction. I went to one, and I told the guy, I didn't tell him how much I actually had in me, but I told him I had a limit of what I was going to spend, and I set my limit at one of the storages, and the guy said, you want it, bid more. When somebody else bid, I said, nope, I hit my limit, I'm done. And he looked at me and said, you have to know what you're doing, because he didn't know I had been learning beforehand.
Yeah, when I go to the auction, the auction I work at even, I go in ahead of time, I write down, model numbers and stuff. I look them up. I do my research, and I put, I know how much. I make 2 lists of columns of numbers on my sheet. I have what the item is, and then I put down how much it sells for, or the range of what it sells for, because it's not always the same amount. Something might sell for $50 to $100, so I'll put that it sells $50 to $100, and then next to it, I'll put 20.
Yep.
So I'm not going to go over $20 on that item. If it goes for $22.50, then they bought it. You got to set off limits.
Yep. One of the biggest thing that bothers me, or I guess that bother me, I guess it's one of these. You can tell they're new because it always happens. The auctioneer puts up. He either says choice. There's 3 items.
Oh yeah.
Schmo thinking they're bidding on all of it in one, and then once they go sold, they're like, oh, I only get one? I don't understand. And then there's the joker out there that just doesn't listen, and the auctioneer says buy 1 times 10. So you're bidding on 1, and you're paying for all 10 of them at that number 1 price.
Right.
And they're like, oh no, I thought no. And it's like, man, that stuff gets on my nerves so bad. Open your ears and listen, or it's a way to back out. It's just.
We have that happen all the time at the auction.
All the time.
I'll put 3 oil lamps up, and I'll say, and I tell them, we're selling choice. And then I go on to explain. That means you're bidding on how much you want to pay for 1, and you can take as many as you want at that price.
Then what do they do?
So, we'll sell choice lamps. We always have freaking 30 lamps or so, table lamps, you know, and we'll sell them choice. And then, you know, table lamps don't sell for that much. You know, a lot of times we'll get a $3 bid on lamps. So then I'll be like, oh, you might as well take them all at that price.
Or they go, oh, choice, I want the one over there on that shelf. That you're like, no, choice, right here.
Yeah, that happens
Not
too.
the one over here on the shelf.
I'll be like, okay, selling these lamps right here on this shelf, choice, and then they'll bid it up to like $20 or something, and they'll be like, I want that one over there, and that point clear across the different side of the auction.
Yeah.
No, you didn't listen.
I mean, and that's the kind of crap that just, it's like, really, did that just happen?
Yeah, it happens over and over.
Yeah.
Kristen, you have a question?
Yeah. What would you recommend for a newbie that wanted to get started in storage auctions? How should they go about it?
Well, the first thing I have to do is find one. If you live in our town, I usually check Auction Zip, or I just see the sign up in front of one of the facilities somewhere. Now, some of them do auctions the same day every month. The one down by my house, down the road from my house, they have one the first, I think it's, I haven't been in a while, I think it's the first Tuesday of every month they have an auction there. Some places do it like the third Thursday or something, but they have it the same day every month. So you go, you know, you got to remember to go to it. But yeah, Auction Zip is a good place to find the storage auctions.
Okay. Next question is more of a personal one. How did you convince your wife to do auctions for a living, or was she already into it when you met her?
No, my wife, I think she had an eBay account, but all she'd ever done was bought a couple things on it. And so she was working at a factory that was kind of dangerous. They made big pieces of glass, and I guess one lady kind of got almost decapitated, and somebody else had lost feet and fingers, and it's just a real dangerous place to work. And it was also a long drive because it was in Ohio, and we live in Fort Wayne, so it was like quite a ways for her to drive back and forth to work. And I had a good job at the time, and we was getting ready to get married, and she was trying to plan the wedding and everything, was getting all stressed out from that. So I told her, I said, why don't you just quit your job? I said, just go in and quit. So she was like, really? And I knew she'd been wanting me to tell her to quit, but she didn't want to quit, you know, decide it. So I told her, I said, just go in and quit and come back home. So she did, and she was so happy. She was all excited. So then she seen the kind of money I was making, you know, and how easy it was to go buy stuff and sell it. So she got into it. Now she has 3 accounts, and she'll go out. You know, I used to go out and hit the you know, clearance sales after Christmas, after Halloween, stuff like that. Now she goes out and she'll buy all the costumes and stuff. So I just let her do it because I've got plenty of stuff to sell myself. But she sells Halloween costumes year round. She always has, you know, a bunch of those listed. But that's how I got her into it. She just saw it as an easy way. We both do this full time, so you know, if the kids have one of the kids have a game or something, we don't have to worry about, you know, missing it or taking time off work or whatever. When we decided to go on vacation a couple years ago, we took a week off and we went down to Santa Claus, Indiana, or Santa Town, something like that. I think it's Santa Claus is what they call it. And it's like this town it's Christmas year round there. They have really cool stores, and we stayed at where Lincoln lived when he was in Indiana. Saw the foundation from his house, and we went to all the museums and stuff and the zoo. It was really neat. So that's one thing that was easy to convince her, was just because of all the free time we have.
Okay. Now my next one is going to be a two-parter. What is the best part of this auctions that you love and that you dislike?
What's the best part that I like and dislike?
Yeah.
I dislike when I get outbid. gosh, I like the excitement of the auction. I like bidding against people. I like if I go to an auction and I get bored, I'll just start bidding on stuff. Even if I don't want it, I just bid. I'm not going to bid on anything and get stuck with it that I can't make a profit on. But I'll bid on stuff, just to bid, just because I'm at the auction. I love to bid on stuff, and I get excited about being there, and so that's bidding. I guess you'd say would be my favorite part of the auction is putting the bids. Or if I have something in the auction, I love watching other people bid on my stuff, especially if it's something good and it goes really high. That's always pretty exciting too. But yeah, what I dislike it is probably people that don't know what they're doing. They don't understand what they're doing. They'll go to an auction and they'll be kind of like a smartass or something, and I don't like that. I'm like I said, I said before, I'll be intimidating at the auction, but I'm not a smartass to the other bidders. I don't, try to piss them off and stuff like that, because that's the worst thing you can do is try to piss off the other bidders, because you get them mad at you, they're going to bid you up. And they might even, bid up to where you stop bidding, just because they want to outbid you because they don't like you.
Or it works the other way around. You totally dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that.
Yeah, but usually, it's better. It's better to, you can be intimidating without, being an ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you may not be being an ass, but they're like, he's an ass because he's buying everything. You're not being an ass.
Oh, people get pissed off at me all the time because I'm buying this and that and this and that. I bought it was probably like 8 gallons of olive oil, and it was in different auctions. It was an online auction, but the auction guy, when I went and picked up the stuff, he told me, he goes there was one lady really pissed off at you because you bought all the olive oil. She was like, couldn't you let somebody else get some? And I'm like, well, I paid way below retail on it. I was like, if she wanted it that bad, she could have outbid me.
Yeah. Now, I've got an ethical question as far as, okay, because you run the ring and you work there, and how much of this is happening, okay, say somebody dies, and they don't want to run an estate sale. Let me shut this door. They don't want to run an estate sale. They want to have all the stuff taken to a local auction house. Okay.
Right.
So
we do that.
Yeah. You go there, and I'm not saying you, but this is how it happens. You go there, you load all the stuff up. My wallet is in the living room, I believe. You load all the stuff up. You see something. You're like, holy cow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And is there a time where, like, because you're there and you see it, can you talk to the owners and make a deal with them before it even goes to auction? And, I'm not saying, I don't know if that's a question you should answer.
I could do that.
Does it happen?
I could do that. As long as you're making them a reasonable offer, I don't think that'd be unethical. It just depends. If you're talking to whoever is in charge of the estate, then that's different than if they just hired you to go in and you just have the auctioneer or whatever. If you're the auctioneer, you just write down, well, you sold this for so much. That would be unethical if they didn't run it through auction. If they just said, if the auctioneer just said, well, I'll just say I sold this for that much, then yeah, that would be unethical. But if the executor of the estate's there and you see something and if you're honest with them, I don't see why there would be a problem.
Yeah. Well,
it would look really bad on you as an auction house if you seen something like a Picasso or something and you're like, oh, I really like that picture. I'll just give you $20 for it if you take that, without running it through the auction. And if the person didn't know any better and they took the $20 and you took the picture, and then they see somewhere, some news story later where you sold it for, a couple $1,000,000 or something.
Yeah.
That would cause some problems. But if you tell them, I've bought stuff like that before, where I've been where they were either doing auction pickup, or it's stuff that they weren't going to send to auction or something, and I'll be like, well, look, I'll tell them about the item if they don't know about the item, and I'll tell them why I'm interested in it, because I want to buy it to either resell, or sometimes it's something I might want to buy for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell them, about it. I'll tell them, what the market value is on it, and I'll tell them what it'll probably go for at auction, and I'll make them an offer on it. And if they wanted to sell it to me, then that's fine. Or they could take a chance and send it to auction, and I could buy it there for probably half what I give them.
Well, or I went, because I was in central Indiana in Greensburg, and I went all the way up to by Detroit, Michigan, because there was an auction, and it had a bunch of old records, and it had some high-end turntables. I get there before it starts, and the turntable, the one I wanted, wasn't even there. The one that was advertised a picture, and I'm like, I threw a fit. I'm like, where's the turntable? And they're like, oh, well, I think somebody decided they want. I'm like, you had this advertised, and I want the opportunity to bid on it. And they got on the phone and got the brother or something, and they brought it in, and I end up bidding up, and I won it because it was, I drove 250, 300 miles just to do it. And
yeah, if they have something advertised, they have to have it in the auction, or it's false advertising. It's misleading advertising.
But I guess at the last moment, the brother wanted it. Maybe he found out it was worth something, and he took it. He's like,
probably. Now, I don't know when it comes to some auction companies will have a thing where the consignor can maybe pull the item before the auction, but there should be somewhere where there's a notification of that.
Yeah.
But there's been times where we've gotten stuff in the auction, and maybe there was something came in that shouldn't have been, and we might have advertised it already, but they'll be like, oh, that wasn't supposed to go, that was sent by mistake or whatever, and so they'll pull it out of the auction. But we don't have a lot of people usually bitch about something that there's a couple times when people have come looking for something, we either couldn't find it, or it had already sold at the auction before and just forgot to get taken off the list of stuff for the next auction.
Yep.
Any questions or comments in the group, the chat, before I go on to my next one?
Now we've been on pickups.
Yeah.
We've been out on pickups before, and go to somebody's house picking up stuff they want to consign to the auction, and like there was the one I remember quite well was there was an East Lake dresser, really beautiful old dresser. It belonged to this lady was elderly, and it had belonged to her mother, and she said her mother had it ever since she could remember. I guess she had got it from an aunt or something, so I knew it was really old to begin with. But I told her, I said I'm going to buy that at the auction, and I did. I ended up paying $100 for it, and I had it for a while, and I sent it back to auction, and I sold it for $150.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Accountant guy says, Bill, does the auction you work at sell everything in the building each auction, or cut it off as soon as it starts slowing down?
Well, you could, for the benefit of the person consigning the stuff, if it gets down to where there's only 2 people or something, we're going to cut the auction off. You got to have enough people to run an auction, and if also there's some items that'll come up, and if the auctioneer doesn't feel that it's going for enough money, he'll pull it. He'll just be like, okay, well, we're not going to sell it. But no, we don't sell everything in the building. I mean, it'd be nice if we did. There's been nights when we've sold all the furniture, all the tools. We never sell all the smalls. There's just too much of the stuff there, and they won't go. Some auctions will do that. They'll sell everything in the place. Our auction doesn't. because of we have so many different consigners that we can't just say, okay, like we're going to sell this table or whatever, just to clear the stuff out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many different consigners. Everybody's items has their number. They're assigned a number. We have those ticket guns, like a pricing gun, and their number goes on everything they bring us.
Yep.
So, sometimes I'll be standing up there, and somebody will bring me a box, and I'll see 2 different numbers on it, and I know that the people are back there mixing the stuff together, and I'll just set it off to the side. I won't even sell it. And I've had people get pissed off before because I wouldn't sell it. And I'll be like, okay, then pick out what you want for that box, and we'll sell those items separately.
Oh, I've seen some auctioneers get so mad because nothing is going for anything. I mean, and he's like, I'm going to shut this down right now if you guys just want to sit. I mean, he gets downright shitty.
Well, he can do whatever he wants to do. If he doesn't want to sell the stuff, then he can quit selling it. I mean, it's gonna, the price is gonna bear what the market bears. I mean,
Yeah, don't scream at us, Nick. Shut it off.
If he's up there just selling junk, nobody's gonna be paying a lot of money for it.
Yep.
I've been at auctions where they've been like that before too. I used to go to auction. I'd bring my trailer every auction I go to, and I would come home with it completely filled with furniture. A lot of the furniture needed some repair done to it, but I would come home with my whole trailer just stacked high, full of furniture, and I'd only have like $30 in the whole load because they'd be out there selling this stuff, and it was absolute auction. They'd bring the stuff out to sell it. They want it gone. So nobody would want whatever piece because they're looking for nice stuff, and I'll buy anything because I'd fix it up, I'd restore it or whatever, and send it to auction. And so I'd buy all this stuff. I'd be like $1. $1, and then the one auctioneer that used to sell the furniture outside all the time, he'd be like, he'd start grouping stuff together or whatever that didn't sell, and or if he couldn't get a bid on something, he'd look at me, he'd point at me and go, $1. I'd be like, yep. So he started calling me Dollar Bill.
Yeah. There's always a dollar bill guy in the crowd. $1. It don't matter what it is. And a lot of times the auctioneer just ignores him, man. He's like looking at you hear $1 and he's still looking.
I love it too when somebody will throw a low bid, and it just be like, ignore them, and then they'll be like, say they're bidding $2, whatever, and they'll be like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I loved it. We haven't found an auction house down here like up there, dude. I mean, that is the one thing I miss about Indiana are those weekly auctions.
There's a lot of good auction houses.
You can go to Auctions-It, man, and hit an auction every single night within 50 miles of you.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, there's several.
And I'm struggling down here because Kim's finding all this good stuff, and it looks like I'm not finding anything. But, I mean, Paul and I, that's all we would do, man. We hit auctions yeah, Bruce is the dollar man. Oh, man, the auctioneer would get so pissed off at Bruce, man. Bruce would be like, $1, especially because he's a scrapper. If there's a pressure cooker, $1. Yeah, and it's like, oh my God. And they're like, they'll look at him like, don't you dare.
Well, see, at our auction house, the lowest bid they'll take is $3.
No.
So if somebody were willing to pay $3 for it, then they don't want it that bad. That's why you see a lot of stuff. I say, I hold it up and I say I paid like those knitting things and the typewriter and all that stuff. That's because I buy that stuff at the auction. $3 is the minimum bid. Yeah. So if nobody bids against me, then I got it for $3.
All right, what are my last 2 questions? I don't know if there's any questions in the group.
They're phoning in the questions.
The question is, if you had to do things over, what would you change? And with that, I'll mute myself.
What would I change, as in auctions or the whole thing in general? Now he's muted.
I didn't get the
Yeah,
question either.
if you had to do things over, what would you change? In general or within auctions, whichever way.
Well, I would keep a lot. I would try to keep stuff a lot more organized. That's for sure. Because I've got stuff I've probably bought 10 years ago in here, stashed away. Because the stuff that's farthest, closest to the walls is the stuff I've seen the longest ago. I mean, every once in a while, I'll be moving stuff around, and I'll be like, wow, this is really cool. I need to get this listed, and it might be something that's worth a lot of money, but I've forgotten I even bought it because it was so long ago. I've got on the shelves. Well, you can't see them, but on the shelves against the far wall, there's two shelves. One goes this way and one goes this way, and they're stacked from the floor to the ceiling with all kinds of vintage video games and consoles. And I mean, there's the only console I don't have is a Jaguar, besides the new ones like the Xbox One or the PS4 and those. I don't have those.
The Intel.
I mean,
ColecoVision.
yeah, I've got all of them. I've got a couple of Amigas. I've got an Amiga 500 in the box.
Oh.
I've got.
Have you ever had a picker? Have you ever invited a picker to come in and go through your stuff?
No, because they'd want to lowball me.
Not really. I mean, I've done it with my fellow. There's this one guy that we had up there, man. He was kind of new into it, and he'd come over, and I had this. It was a remote control airplane, and I told him, and he's like so paranoid, and I'd be like, dude, this is the deal I'm gonna make you, and before I even make you the deal, I'm telling you, it's not gonna get any better. I'm doing this because you're a buddy, and I'll give him this stupid, sick price for this, I mean, cheap price for this, like, airplane or something, and he looks at me like, no, I don't trust you, and I'm like, dude, I'm serious. It's Rick, Paul, you know Rick. Oh, but it didn't matter, dude. It didn't matter how good a deal you were giving him. He thinks that you're trying to get over on him. It's like, are you serious? And then we got Bruce. No matter how good of a deal you get him, he'll still try to undercut you. And I've kicked him out of my house before. I'm like, get the out of here, dude. I'm tired of messing with you. And then he'll be back the next day and we'll be buddies. But yeah. Sometimes it's your friends that drive you nuts, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to do a lot of dealing with my friends. I mean, I'll sell stuff for them once in a while, but in general, I'd rather not mess with their stuff. I'd rather send them to somebody else, because that way they can't come back on me and be like, oh, you should have gave me more, or this didn't go for, it's just, it ain't worth it. I got a friend that's gonna be moving soon, and he's got stuff he wants to get rid of. I told him, I said I can have you take it to the auction, and I can get it sold for you there, and send you a check. But I don't really like selling my friend's stuff. Now, I did have one guy earlier this summer. I was selling a bunch of stuff on Craigslist, and I had, gosh, what all did I had? Steamer trunks, and I had, I think it was in one of the videos, one of the hoarder videos I did. I showed all the furniture and stuff I drug out of the garage into the driveway, and there was like, oh gosh, I don't know. There was that big Doctor's square glass cabinet, and I had a ATV jack, and I don't know what all, but I had a whole bunch of stuff out there, and I had several people come and buy stuff. They come for like one item and maybe buy a couple things, but this one guy, he was what you'd consider a picker, because he came out and he was like looking around, and the ATV jack was brand new, and I was only asking $50 for it. They're like, I think the one I have is like $200, and I paid $3 at auction for it because I think nobody knew what it was. Yeah. And then so I told him, I was like, no, I said it's brand new. I said I don't think I ever even used the thing. I bought it for I bought it to work on a 4-wheeler, but I never ended up doing it. So anyways, the guy was like, he was like, well, you take 25 for it. I was like, no, I gotta get 50 for it. I was like, it's worth a lot more than that. He's like, okay. And then he's like, he asked me about that doctor's cabinet, and I was like, well, I'd take 50 for it or 60 or what. I forget what I sold it for, but I sold him that, and I don't know. He ended up put a bunch of stuff in his truck before he left.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he was kind of like a picker, you know. He was like looking around for stuff, and I'm like, what else kind of stuff you looking for, you know? And he'd tell me something, I go dig something out, you know, and sometimes I give him a price on it, sometimes he'd give me a price on it, and but you know, he'd always you know, give me a low price, I'd have to come up, you know, give him a higher price. If I gave him a price, he always wanted to go down. So it was kind of fun, you know.
Oh yeah.
Just to have somebody just come in here and dig, I don't think I'd like that.
I would be respectful, dude. I would make a trip. I would make a trip up there just to go through your stuff, man.
You know, I can't wait to get a building so I can get this organized, because, I mean, it's just overwhelming the amount of stuff I have.
Yeah.
And I really need a place where I can put my shelves up and you know, just spread it all out and separate everything. You know, I'll probably get rid of stuff. I'll probably donate some stuff. You know, I'll probably send some stuff to auction. I don't know, but you know, once I get it all rid out, and you know, I've been a lot pickier in the last couple years about what I've bought, and I try to get the stuff I buy listed right away. But you know, sometimes you know, there's something like I buy a turntable the other day, needs a needle for it $60, so that goes on a shelf. I'm not gonna go spend $60 on a needle for a turntable. I'll eventually get a needle for it. I'll either get one in a lot of stuff, or I'll find one cheap, or you know, one will come somewhere. Now I've got a Pioneer turntable up there that's worth a couple $100, and I did go buy a new needle for it. It was about $30 for the needle, but the turntable is really nice, and you know, it's not like, you know, I mean, that's a selling point on that one, I didn't have to replace the whole cartridge, just the needle in it. So that's a good selling point on that one, is that it's got a new needle in it. And I also had them check the speed and adjust the tracking, whatever they do.
Belt, or if it's if the belt's, you know, stretched, it'll slow down.
I just got a turntable the other day. I put a brand new belt on it, so I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah.
That was the one I tested. I think I did test that one out. The sound on it's not very loud. Even I hook it up through my amp, because it doesn't have, you know, you have to hook it up to something for it to have sound. It doesn't have its own speakers or anything. You have to like run it through an amp. So I ran it through my amp, but you know, you have to turn it way up to hear it. So I don't know what exactly is the cause of that.
I don't think it would be the actual, becoming, you know how basic the needle stuff is. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I know. Because at first I thought it was maybe the needle or something, but I don't know. Unless it's got a pickup or something in there that's good.
Okay, so my last question, and then we'll go see what there is for the viewers, and then I have a couple announcements, is Glenda Karen says the parts are always in the DVD player. Is it true for you?
Yeah, usually you always, I mean, almost 90% of the time you're going to find porn in a storage unit. Sometimes it's tame, sometimes it's just downright scary, sometimes it's homemade, which is my favorite one to find. But yeah, a lot of times, me and the auctioneer used to joke, because we'd go through a storage unit, we'd either find porn or we'd find a Bible. And if we found the Bible, then we knew we were going to find porn, because you always find one with the other.
Well, that's a strange combination.
I know, it's funny, but that's always the way it is. You find one, then you find the other. And I tell you what, don't leave. Here's some tips if you're renting a storage unit. Here's some things not to leave in your storage unit. Don't leave personal photographs, you know, family photos or whatever. Don't leave family members, you know, whether they be cremated or whatever. Don't leave anything incriminating. Don't leave like your cell phone, you know, an old cell phone. Don't leave those in there. Don't leave videos. I don't know, computers. You find a lot of good stuff on computers too. Pretty much anything that you wouldn't want your mother to see, don't leave it in your storage unit. Because if
I'm
you
glad
lose
I
that
don't have
storage
one.
unit, you'll be looking at it.
Okay, anything in the comments, Kristen? Any questions? Since we got about a half hour or so, and I got a comment, announcements to make about next week and the contest winner.
Okay. Yeah. Matt Embry says, question. Okay, this is a silly question, but have any of you guys missed your shipping deadline or time because you couldn't find the item in your inventory?
Yes.
Oh,
I've had to
sure did.
refund people before. The last thing, it's been a while back, but the last thing was this. It was like a little stuffed plush thing. I couldn't find it anywhere, and I eventually found it, but it was like a couple months or a month or two after. I think it was a month or two after I had refunded the person. The thing had fell inside of a shoe. So I went through everything on the shelf and couldn't find it, and that was why it had fell in a shoe. But normally I find everything. I've got all my clothes are on hangers, all my shoes are in totes. Everything else is over there somewhere.
Yeah. You were talking about don't leave stuff. I mean, we have gotten and I've said this before, somebody in our town had their storage unit, and Bruce got it, and he cleaned it out, and I went over to his house and was going through the stuff with him, and there was a film cassette thing. I'm like, hey, I've got an adapter, you know, you can put this like Super 8 thing in it and put it in the VCR, and sure enough, honeymoon video, it was like, we're like, no way, man.
Oh yeah, I find VHS, I find DVDs, I find stuff people have left on their phones.
Oh my god.
Cameras, you know, you find a camera in there, it's got pictures on it or video on it.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, ask Bruce about the video that we found of who it is, and you're gonna die, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, there's somebody in our town, man. They're like, do you want to tell them? And like, hell no, I don't want to tell them. It's just every time you see him, you kind of snicker, you know?
What you do is you give them a copy.
Mail them a copy.
Give them a copy. on some other format than what they had it on.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Paul, you need to call Bruce and ask him who it is. I mean, I can't. Oh my gosh.
See, I suppose depending on what kind of a video you find, you know, that could be profitable in itself.
Dude, I don't think this guy could make it in anything. It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Okay, back
I'm not going to tell you who it is. Paul, call Bruce and he'll tell you.
Anything else in the comments?
Yeah, Star Swatch says, Bill, have you ever been approached by a previous storage locker owner asking for their things back?
I don't deal directly with the previous tenants of the storage units. We have had people come into the auction house and, you know, they're like, I want this or I want that, or they'll show up at the auction because the storage facility has told them where the stuff is went. And if it's, you know, if they can, a lot of times by the time they find out where the stuff is, it's already gone. If it's personal items and stuff, we used, you know, they used to try to get that back to the you know, we used to save the photographs, and we still do at some of the locations that we there's still a couple of storage places that he still empties, and at the request of the storage facility management, if we clean out one of those places, we save their photographs and things. But they hardly ever pick them up. I used to do that when I'd clean out a storage unit. I'd clean one out, and you know, I'd save all the photos and stuff, and I'd take them back to the management, and the management would just look at me dumbfounded because they're like, you know, nobody wants this stuff. And there's been times, I mean, there was one time we cleaned down a storage unit, and this wasn't one I cleaned out. They cleaned it out, and there was an urn, and the urn made it to the auction, and it was empty. Evidently, someone had emptied it along the way after they found it in the storage unit. I'm not going to mention any names because I'm guessing they probably just dumped it in the trash can. But yeah, so if you don't want your loved ones to end up in a landfill, don't put them in the storage unit. But we found them. We found them in bags. We found them in urns. But anyways, he sold the urn at auction. But then the next auction, the person that owned the storage unit came in and was looking for stuff from their unit. I'm so glad that urn sold at the auction before they came in, because
Wow.
can you imagine that person coming into the auction house, and seeing their relative's urn and looking at it and not finding their relative? Now I did find a bunch of pictures that that were in. I guess it was they had a bunch of picture frames that had pictures in them. Those were stored. Those were in a tub under the table, and she found those. So I didn't. We didn't make her buy them. I went up to the auctioneer and I explained to the owner of the auction house. I said, this lady come in here looking for her stuff, and I said, she lost everything, and I said, there's a tote out there with her family photos in it. I said, is it all right with you if I just give it to her? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So we gave her the whole tub full of photos and pictures back. But yeah, normally they don't come in, and you really don't want to have any dealings with someone who owned a unit, no matter what you find in there, no matter how personal it is, because you'll find baby pictures, you'll find baby books, you'll find really, really personal items that you feel bad that person lost. But Social Security cards, birth certificates, all that stuff you'll find in there. But don't contact the people, because if you contact them about this item that you feel they should have back because it's personal, they're going to want to know about this item. That maybe it's something, gold ring or something that you want to sell or that you've already sold. They're gonna want the things that are most profitable to you back out of that unit, or they're gonna want to know where'd my grandma's chair go or whatever. So don't have any contact with them, if at all possible.
I just remembered another question based on that question. Have you ever had another bidder come up to you and buy something right out of your storage after you won it?
Yeah, lots of times. I've done the same thing too. If there was something in a unit, if I seen one thing in the unit I wanted, I might throw a bid on the unit. But if it's only the one thing I want, I'm not going to run the unit up. I'm not going to bid the unit up to buy it just because I want the one item or whatever in there. Now I've also had people that have bought units at the auction. They've come up to me afterwards and been like, we just wanted this, whatever thing out of this unit, and I'll be like, well, that's fine. I was like, I'll finish cleaning your unit out for you. So they've got what they wanted out of the unit and they left, and then I go and I clean the rest of the unit out for them. I've done that several times with
found the
some of them.
It was the porno. Yeah, the porno. You need to tell Paul who it was, because I cannot remember.
Okay, let's mute button.
He's
I'm gonna mute him.
not muted.
Just muted himself.
Now he's muted.
Yeah, he muted himself, so. Any other questions in the comments before I start giving some announcements?
No, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, now we got a half hour, so. Well, one of my announcements is that next week, tentatively, we're going to be talking about the DSRs that Figures in Church covered this week, thanks to a comment. We're going to have, tentatively have Elena Spretrella as a guest to discuss it with us. So I know I don't have enough knowledge of what's going on with that to help anybody, but everybody can be worried about it, and it's 3 days before the 20th, so let's get as much knowledge as we can about that. And in regards to the 1,000 member uh, contest that I had in the resellers next group, I want to congratulate Kendra Edwards. She is the one that won the however many Iraqi money from
Well,
Chad.
there's
So
probably 60 or 65. Probably. I didn't count them.
Just get a hold of Chad through the group, and he will get that out to you as soon as possible. And Chad, I'll talk to you after the show about working something out for the shipping wise.
I'll pay the shipping. It ain't no big deal. As long as they're in the United States. Figure it out yourself, Paul, who the guy is. Damn, dude.
He's just really.
But yeah, it's crazy what you can find.
So we can get those questions and other comments for Bill about auctions or any questions you have that he's willing to answer. Get them in now and.
I got one question for Bill.
Okay.
What's the nastiest thing you've ever found in a storage auction?
There's been a lot of nasty stuff. You mean besides cremated remains?
I'm talking the nastiest thing. It's like I am not even touching it.
Well, I found garbage. I mean, I found child pornography and reported that person. I mean, there's, you know, I mean, the ones that put the garbage in the units is the worst. That's the nastiest, grossest thing is the ones that put the store their garbage in a unit.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got it. I know what it was. Freezer full of meat.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
What? I thought there was a body in there. I swear to God, I thought somebody stashed a body in that unit. Because that's exactly what it smelled like. And I tell you what, the auctioneer cleaned that freezer out and still sold it. It's out in the parking lot leaked for a while, but.
What? Hey guys, I have to skate out of here. I hate to do it to you, but I gotta go. So.
Thanks for filling in.
But we'll see you. Hey, be good, Bill. Appreciate it, buddy.
See you, Chad.
Bye, Kristen. Chad. Bye, Chris.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. So I don't know what else. All my questions have been asked, so I can't see what's in the comments.
I don't have 26.
Yeah, anything in there, Kristen?
I don't see any questions.
Well, let's let the fans know, or the viewers know, that Scott couldn't make it. He had a family emergency. So let's be glad that he's okay and get through what he has to get through. So now we know why he wasn't able to make it.
Oh, well, that's understandable.
Yeah. If anybody has questions besides auctions that they would like to ask me, they could do that.
Yeah, I don't have any questions for you for at least the next 26 minutes. I don't want. I'm trying.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be questions about just auctions. So if you have a question, leave them in the comments.
So I just got into the storage auctions when I first moved here, and like I like to tell other people, I've told this to Kristen, I've said it to Sean, and I said it to Chad. I've started things backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I've already bought the sites to sell on, but yeah, I haven't gotten them up. Started doing auctions before I had any space, and then that's when I
Okay,
went. Oh, go ahead.
we have a question. Yep. John Bradley wants to know, Bill, what's the most valuable item you found?
Oh, I have to think about that one a minute, because I've sold stuff for thousands, and I'm trying to think what the most valuable that I've found. Well, I've found gold rings and things like that. Um,
Didn't you say something last week in the comments about a $15,000 sale or something?
well, that wasn't really stuff I found. The 15 I made 15,000 in 1 month. That was just selling jeweler tools that had been left to me.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
I mean, I've sold cars and houses and things like that, but well, let me tell you, the very first thing I sold on eBay back in '98 was this little troll. It was a little plastic troll, 1965 damn things, and it had mohair. It had a tail with mohair on it, and it had pink glass eyes. And I guess it having the pink glass eyes is what really set it off. And it was, just one of those little trolls like the jewel trolls you see now, but this one was from 1965. And the thing, I kept getting questions about it. One person wanted to know if they could use my photographs in a book they were doing because it was so rare. I guess nobody had one. So, anyways, this little troll ended up selling. I think it ended up selling for like $625. Very first thing I ever sold on eBay. And after that, I was hooked. I started looking, and I had that troll since I was a little kid. That had been in my toy box ever since I could remember. And I just happened to run across it when I was cleaning out some stuff. I found my toy box, and that thing was still in there. I thought, well, I looked up trolls and seen some selling for $30 or $40, so I thought, I'll list it. And I think I only started off at like $9.99 or something like that. But yeah, that was just so exciting. Sitting there, last few minutes of the auction, I just kept clicking refresh, and every time I refreshed it, there was more money. And then I was scared, oh, the person's not going to pay. They paid like right away. So that was before I was even doing. I mean, that was the first thing I ever sold. I wasn't even doing any shipping from my house at that time. That back then you had to take it to the post office and ship it out that way. And I think they that wasn't, they didn't pay it right away. I had to wait for the money order to come, because I don't even think they were doing a lot of PayPal back then.
I wouldn't know. I didn't get into eBay until 2005, so.
Yeah, they sent me. I think they sent me it was either a postal money order or a cashier's check, one of those two.
Yeah, I remember when they used to accept that stuff. Now it's all electronic.
I'll still take a money order. If I'll get every once in if it's not as often as it used to be, but every once in a while somebody will ask me if I'll take a money order, and I'm like, as long as it's a postal money order, I'll take it. I've had people send me cash in an envelope.
I've had people do that too.
What was funny was that it was only like, I think it was when I was selling some magic cards or something, but it was only like $1 something, and they sent me $2, and so I sent them. I made change and sent the change back to them.
Let's see. Picking Profit says, do you guys ever buy stuff on eBay to resell on eBay?
Yeah, all the time. Actually, I'm waiting for something to come now. I just bought it on eBay.
I did buy a shirt a while back, but we haven't relisted it yet. I think we paid $2.50 for it. The most we're probably going to go for is 10 on research that we've done.
I buy from more than just eBay too. I mean, I buy other online sites and resell, especially like
Yeah, I've done.
Disney Store, Kmart, Sears. Well, Kmart and Sears is the same thing now. What's another one I buy a lot from? Penny's, Target. That's another one. I buy a lot of stuff from Target online, resell it. A lot of that. I don't do that so much anymore. A lot of that was when I was doing a lot of FBA.
Yeah, I haven't got any FBA, so.
It's good
Let's
if you
see.
got a lot of time to keep sending stuff in, but if you stop sending stuff in, you don't make money.
Nah,
True.
what should I do MF for that? Okay, wait, you can try and say something, Kristen?
Yeah, I was going to go to the next question because now we have a bunch of questions.
Oh, good.
Star Squatch says, Bill, have you ever found things of historical importance?
Yeah. Actually, I found a silverware belt buckle, and I got the tintype photograph of the supposedly the person. It was like a package deal. It was the tintype photograph and the silverware belt buckle that gosh, I forget what I gave for it. It wasn't very much, and I got it at like a flea market, and I sold just I don't know if I sold. No, I didn't sell them together. I sold just a belt buckle for $150. I mean, it wasn't like a mint condition one or anything. It was worn, and then I think I got like $100 out of the photograph also. So that was a neat find. I've found stuff. I've sold stuff that I've dug up, out metal detecting too.
What's next, Kristen?
Let's see. Sandy Rick says, Bill, where do you sell most of your items? eBay, Amazon, Craigslist?
It depends what it is. If it's sorry, I'm grabbing a pop out of the fridge. It just depends on what it is. If it's small items, I like to sell those usually on eBay. If it's something newer with a barcode, or something I can make good money on, or like games, like I picked up this bag of games at the auction for I don't know $5 or $7, whatever it was, and those most likely will sell better on Amazon FBA. But I always check both platforms. I check eBay and Amazon because I've sold console games before on eBay that have sold for more than what they do on Amazon FBA. It just depends on what the market is. What I love is when I look something up on Amazon and find out there's no other seller selling FBA, but there's a ton of merchant fulfilled ones, then I'm going to send that in double whatever the highest merchant fulfill is asking, or maybe even more. Large things I'll sell on Craigslist, or I'll sell at local auction. It depends on what it is. I mean, I've sent great big oil paintings and prints and stuff like that FedEx clear out to California. I had that mermaid print that I sold not too long ago for $200, and I shipped it to I think it was California or South Carolina, somewhere out there. And then I had 2 Pilates exercise chairs. They're kind of heavy, 40 pounds or so. I shipped those FedEx. Those are kind of big. But like if I had like a big antique piece of furniture, I would probably sell it at a local auction, or I'd put it on eBay with pickup only. That's how I sold. I had a Shopsmith with a bunch of tooling with it. Shopsmith is a big machine. It's for woodworking, and it flips around for lathe or drill press, horizontal boring machine. I just haven't any time to use it anymore. So I listed it on Craigslist for a while, and I got offers on it, but they weren't very good. And so I just put it up on eBay, and I sold it to a guy, and I forget how far away he was. He had to drive a ways to get here, but he came and he bought it, paid it right away, and came and picked it up. I think it was like 2 days later. So it just depends. Don't be afraid to sell big stuff. I mean, as long as you just put pickup only. Of course, I did have that Herman Miller chair, one of those great big wide back Herman Miller chairs with the ottoman. I sold that. I got it for free from helping somebody clean out a house, and I didn't even know what it was for a while. I had it in my living room and had been sitting in it because it was comfortable. And then one day somebody was over flipping through one of my antique books and or furniture books, and she goes, "Isn't this your chair?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." I seen the price it was, so I took it out of my living room and quit using it and listed it on eBay. And I put pickup only, but then the person that bought it lived in Pennsylvania and wanted me to ship it, so I charged them an extra 130. Well, it went for like, I don't know, it was either between 16 and 1900, somewhere around there. But I charged them an extra 130 to pack it and ship it.
Wow.
Because that was kind of a pain.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'm
Yeah,
lazy when it comes to selling big items, though. I've got like 6 or 7 keyboards around here. I've got a laser disc player, some other stereo equipment. I just get lazy about boxing it up.
Okay, let's see. Next question. Joseph Hare says, "What do you think about selling cufflinks?"
Cufflinks are good. I mean, where to sell them? Because you can sell those on Etsy, or you can sell them on eBay. I think there's actually another site too that deals more with jewelry. Oh, I sell stuff on Facebook too. I mean, that's another good platform to sell big stuff, or like lots of stuff. Like if you have children's clothes or something, you want to sell a big lot of them. There's a lot of good. I'm in probably 100 different Facebook groups, and some of them are garage selling. I would probably take pictures of the cufflinks outside or in some decent light so you get the good detail. List if it has any kind of sign name on the back of it. If you know what material it's made out of, list that. Brand name's good to have on there. But yeah, I've sold cufflinks on eBay. I don't think I've ever really sold them. No, I did have a pair. I don't know if those ended up selling or not. I had a pair on Etsy that were antique. They were sterling. So I put those on Etsy because that's a good place to sell like antique jewelry and stuff. Something that's like that, those antiques cufflinks, you'd probably want to put like steampunk or something on them in the title, because a lot of those people like the vintage or Victorian ones.
Have you ever bought or sold on bids.com?
I'm registered on there, but I haven't sold anything on there. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of eBid. Yeah, I have bought on bids. When bids first started, I was on there and I made a killing buying sterling rings on there. They would sell. I bought them for like $3 a piece. Sometimes even less than that, because they start real low. But yeah, that bids.com, when it first started, it was a killer place to buy jewelry.
Yeah, I bought a ring for my daughter's boyfriend at the time, and it only cost us $11.
Yeah.
So a size 10. But he didn't want it, so now I gotta list it somewhere and sell it. So.
Is it sterling or is it just regular? That whatever that metal is, they make a bunch of them out of.
I can't remember offhand. I know we got pictures of them, so what I might do is send you a picture on Facebook or something and let you see it.
Yeah, they got a lot of synthetic stones in their rings too. You got to watch. You got to read it real careful what you're buying, because they make it. Sometimes their titles make it sound like it's a genuine ring or genuine stone or whatever, and then you go read the description on it, and it's a synthetic stone, or the metal isn't actually silver. They might say silver in their title, but then you go read it, and it's a mixed metal. It's not actually silver. They're just referring to the color of the ring.
Okay.
All right. Counting Guy says, "Do you sell a lot of used items on Amazon, like electronics, toys, etc., or do you just sell those items on eBay?"
I don't sell any used toys on Amazon, except games. If you count games as toys, I sell those on Amazon sometimes. Most any used toys I sell on eBay. Now I sell new toys, lots of new toys on Amazon. Just nothing. I wouldn't feel comfortable selling used ones on there because their clientele is so picky that any little thing wrong with it, they're going to return it. What else was it? What was the part of the question?
No, they were asking if. Well, I guess that answers the question because they were asking if you only sell used items like that on eBay.
Oh, okay. No, I sell lots of used. I sell used video games. I'm not listing any more used DVDs on Amazon, obviously, because they just have too many issues. But yeah, used cartridge games. I sell lots of those on Amazon.
Okay.
And if you
Chris,
sell,
you got a question?
if you don't sell on Amazon or you're thinking about selling Amazon, don't do mixed mingle with your media, or don't use commingled with your media, because you don't know what that other person's sending in. I wouldn't use commingled, period. But I guess if you have some new stuff, if it's not something that can be damaged, it might be all right. I know other sellers use the commingled, but to me, it's just a risk because they'll throw your item in with everybody else's, and your idea of like new might not be somebody else's idea of like new might not be your idea of like new. Their idea like new on a game might be the instruction manual missing and a big scratch on a CD, whereas your like new might be looking like it just got the wrapper pulled off of it.
Yeah, it's hard to differentiate for each person what they're thinking of new is.
Yeah, I don't take a chance. I rate my stuff really hard. I might have one that looks really good, but I'm not going to put like new on it. I'm going to put average and then describe it.
I think Kristen has a couple more questions in there before we can get ready to shut.
Yeah, it looks like I have one more question on here.
Okay.
James Benner wants to know, with fine jewelry, do you clean it with a fine-tooth comb before listing?
I have two ultrasonic jewelry cleaners that I use. One of them is a high-powered ultrasonic cleaner, and the other one is more of a soaker thing that just barely vibrates stuff. There's a lot of times, a lot of costume jewelry that you don't want to put into any type of jewelry cleaner. Anything with rhinestones, small stones like that, rhinestones and things. Any foil-backed type of costume jewelry, don't put any of that into ultrasonic jewelry cleaner because it can destroy it. The best thing to do would just be to get a soft bristle toothbrush and brush it lightly if it's dusty or whatever, and just describe that that it being a fragile item, that the cleaning it is up to the buyer. And but if it's just like a solid ring or something like that, yeah, throw that stuff in there. If it's a stone, a real stone, or a clear, not a foil back stone in sets, throw them in a jewelry cleaner, clean them up, because you'll be so surprised how much different it looks. There's I don't know, I don't think I still have that. I had a thing that was a steam cleaner for jewelry, that it would just had a little spout that came up and it would blow steam out, and you could clean. It was real good for cleaning a lot of different things. Not a lot of the costume jewelry though, but chains, any chains, throw them in your jewelry cleaner, ultrasonic cleaner, and you'd be surprised how shiny and stuff they look. I also I have the my grandpa was a jeweler, and he worked at a jewelry store, and I still have the buffer machine that he had. So I also will buff some of the stuff I sell, because I have the big wheel down there to buff it on.
And you go over everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I got rid of most of the machinery I had, though, because I didn't have room for it with everything else I'm doing now, and I just don't have time to do a lot of the woodworking I used to do.
Any other comments or questions? Since we got about 5 minutes or so.
Okay. Gandalf asks, Bill, do you sell sports cards on eBay?
No, I'm not into sports. If I do sell them, I don't usually even go through them. I mean, if there's like 10,000 cards going at auction for a couple of bucks, yeah, I'll buy them, and then I'll just put them back on. I'll just put them on eBay in lots of 1,000 or whatever, and just say, these are cards I bought at auction. They're not sorted, because I don't know anything about the sports cards. It's just too much. It's just too much involved in it. It takes up too much time for me to mess with that, because it's seldom that you buy a whole big lot of cards and actually find one worth thousands or whatever in it. So it's kind of like a lottery if you buy sports cards for me. And I do have, like, I don't know, I might have 10 or 15,000 of them boxed up back there now that I bought. Gosh, must have been, I think I bought those back in the mid-90s maybe. Yeah, probably about the mid-90s I bought those. And they've just been sitting back there on a shelf. I never went through any of them. I think they're mixed cards, so I don't think they're all just the same kind. But I don't know anything about them. I always thought that I'd have, find somebody that could go through them for me, and then I'd split with them, whatever they found in it. But I didn't never find anybody I knew that I could trust to go through them.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to sell sports cards, go to yards, card shows and stuff like that when I lived in New York.
Now I've dealt Magic the Gathering cards. I've got a few thousand of those, and I used to play, and I've got full sets going back to not alpha or beta, whatever the third set was. That's when I started collecting them. I do have some alpha and beta cards, but I don't have a complete set of those. But I've got some of the other sets.
I never got into those cards.
Some of those land cards are worth $100 or better. And then there's other things like Time Walk that used to go for like $200. Of course, the rarest one used to be, I don't know if it still is or not, but Black Lotus from, I think it was the Alpha set, used to be the most expensive card, and it would go just crazy prices on it. Of course, anytime there's a show where they give out a special card in a limited number, those are always going to be collectible.
Yep. Any last comments, Kristen?
The last question is from Matt Embry. He wants to know, what does commingle mean?
Commingled is when you send in your items, and you don't have to put a barcode on them, and they just put them into inventory with everybody else that sends that same item in. So when yours sells, the one shipped out may not necessarily be yours. I hope that describes it. That's why I say if you send in something commingled, unless it was brand new, sealed, and even then I'd be scared with like DVDs or something, because you don't know if somebody's sending in pirated ones. But if somebody's sent in, if you have the same game that somebody else has, and you both send your game or the same CD in, and you send it in as commingled, they're just going to put yours in inventory with a stack of whoever else sends in that same item. With that, they don't worry about putting scanning your barcode and stuff. They just check in that you've put it in inventory, and then as they sell, they just grab one off the shelf. So you could have the best price on it and sell yours, and they just pull one off the shelf. Well, how do you know that one they're pulling off the shelf is as good a quality as the one you sent in? They might have sent in a game that doesn't work, a cartridge game or something that's busted, and they send that out to the customer. You're the one that's going to get the defect for them, or you're going to have the return and have to have that customer upset because what they got wasn't right. I don't know how Amazon handles that when it gets returned, but I'm just saying you don't want to have returns, so I don't send stuff commingled.
Well, I want to thank 24 to 30 viewers that we've had all night. So it was a slow start. Sorry for that. Thanks, Bill, for being here. And is there anything else you want to say before we close this out?
No, I think I've said just about everything. If anybody else wants to have me appear on their show or hang out with them, just send me a link or get a hold of me. My YouTube channel is W Stoner, and you can also find me on Facebook.
And Kristen?
Thanks everybody for coming. Now that we know that Sean's okay, we can rest easier. And if anybody wants to check out my channel, I'm Miss Cool Finds on YouTube, and I think all the links will be in the bottom bar below. So if you're having trouble finding it, go look there.
Yeah, the only
Good
link I
night.
didn't. Whoops. Yeah, the only link I did not put in was Chess because he was not expected to be here. So
Yeah.
I'll have to add that later or something.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Like I said, next week will be about the DSRs and stuff like that that's going on for the 20th of this month. Tentatively, we will have Elena Scripparella as our guest. I am hoping to have that confirmed by Wednesday night, hopefully. So, thanks again. Talk to you later.